Hey everybody. So, we're in the part of the summer now where, everyone is really getting anxious for hockey to be back. We all want hockey to be back. We can't wait to watch games again. Um, and this is a really lousy part of the year where it's like it's almost here, but it's not quite here yet. Free agency's pretty much, done. There's not a whole lot going on. We all just want games to start up again. I want the NHL season to be if it could start tonight, I would absolutely love it. But it doesn't start for another couple of months in the beginning of October. That doesn't mean I can't look ahead a little bit, and that's exactly what I did. I went ahead and looked at the schedule for the first couple weeks of the season and pulled out some early season games that I'm really excited about and I think are going to be great games and certainly worth watching. So, these are games that I just quickly went through the schedule, looked at the matchups, and was like, I want to watch that, or that's going to be a really fun game to watch. I only looked at the first couple weeks of the season. So these are like real early on games. I didn't go through all of October or anything like that. I just the first 2 weeks. So, first up, opening night, Boston at Washington on October 3rd. Washington's going to be raising their Stanley Cup banner that night. And this, I think, will be the best game of opening night. You have two teams that are very good. Certainly two of the best teams in the East. And not just because I'm a Bruins fan, but just in general, this is going to be a very good game. And, even though Boston and Washington aren't traditional rivals the way that Washington and Pittsburgh and Washington and Philly and Washington and New York are, or that Boston and Toronto, Boston, Montreal, Boston and Buffalo are, there's something when those two teams play each other. When Boston and Washington play each other, it is always a physical, nasty, entertaining game. And they really don't like each other. For two teams that aren't in the same division and don't have that history between each other, they play really nasty games, and it's really fun to watch anytime the Capitals and Bruins play. So I cannot wait for that game. Plus, it's opening night, and I mean, by opening night, everyone is just so amped up and ready for hockey that we pretty much any game would be great on opening night. But when you get a matchup like this, it's going to be incredible to watch, and everyone's going to be really happy that hockey's finally back. Then the next night we have Washington at Pittsburgh. Man, talk about a tough back-to-back to start the year for Washington. But Caps Pens, great rivalry. Ovechkin Crosby, Ovechkin Malkin. The teams hate each other. They've met in the They meet in the playoffs year after year after year. Washington finally beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs last year to go on to win the cup. Just anytime Washington and Pittsburgh plays, it's a game that I want to watch. And certainly no different right at the beginning of the season this coming year. It's going to be an awesome one to watch. And also that night, Winnipeg at St. Louis, and that I think is going to be a really interesting game. Because Winnipeg was obviously one of the best teams in the league last year. They were right up there with Nashville in the Central Division, just a little bit behind Nashville. Winnipeg beat Nashville in the playoffs and went on to the conference finals. So they're a really good team that people have really high expectations for now. And you have St. Louis, who basically, according to most people, was the team that won the offseason so far this offseason. Now, does that actually translate to wins on the ice? We're going to have to see. They've added Ryan O'Reilly. They've brought in Tyler Bozak, David Perron. Does it actually change things on the ice? St. Louis, very disappointing last year, missed the playoffs. They are going all in to be not only a playoff team this year, but a team that can make a very deep playoff run. This is going to be a very good early season test for St. Louis. What do they look like against a high-end team like Winnipeg? And I think that that is going to be an absolutely fantastic game to watch, and it's going to be a very important game. We're going to get to see what this new look St. Louis Blues team looks like. October 6th, Florida at Tampa Bay. I am really looking forward to that game. Tampa Bay, when you look at their roster, is probably the best and most complete team in the league. They're certainly a Stanley Cup favorite, and they were last year before they lost in the conference final. They're a Stanley Cup favorite again this year. And Florida is a team that came on really, really strong in the second half of the season last year, almost made the playoffs. I fully expect Florida to be a playoff team this year, and I think this is going to be a great early season game. We're going to get to see what Florida really has and how good they really are. And, I mean, in-state rivals, division rivals, it's always a good matchup when Tampa Bay and the Panthers play. And I think that those matchups are going to be even better and more important this year because I think both teams are very good and both teams should be playoff teams. I would absolutely love for that to be a first-round playoff matchup. Florida is a wild card and Tampa Bay is the 1 seed. Oh man, what a first-round matchup that would be in the Atlantic Division. That would be just incredible. And I'm really looking forward to any time that those two teams play this year. October 9th, Calgary at Nashville. Calgary is another team that made a lot of changes this offseason after a very disappointing season last year. They were supposed to be a playoff team. They weren't. Now they made all these changes. They brought in new players. They brought in a new coach. It's time for Calgary to really show what it can do this season, and they have to be a playoff team this season. Nashville is a fantastic early season test for them because Nashville is obviously one of the best teams in the West. They won the President's Trophy last year as the best team in the league. And I fully expect them to be a very good team again this year. So Calgary versus Nashville, I think, is going to be a very good game and a very good test to see how good Calgary really is. October 10th, Stanley Cup Final rematch, Vegas at Washington. This is a game that I'm really looking forward to and really can't wait to watch. For teams that aren't rivals, there's no history between them. That Vegas doesn't really have history with anybody. They're a brand new team. They played a very hard-fought, very physical, and at points very nasty Stanley Cup series last season. And Washington obviously won the cup. Vegas wants revenge, and they're meeting very early on in the season, and I think it's going to be an incredible game. It's going to be a really good test for both teams. Vegas, how good are they? Are they as good as they were last year? Let's play the defending Stanley Cup champs to find out. For Washington, how good are they? Did they lose anything over the offseason? Do they have a Stanley Cup hangover? Do they have a rough start to the year? Who better to play than the other Stanley Cup finalist from the year before? So I think that's going to be a very good game to watch, and I hope that NBC has it and I can watch it. The next night, October 11th, Calgary at St. Louis. This is the battle of off-season winners and off-season changes, out west at least. Calgary made a ton of changes, as I talked about earlier. St. Louis, obviously they've made, it's well known what they've done this offseason, bringing in all kinds of new players. These are two teams that were supposed to be playoff teams last year that missed the playoffs. They're fully expected to be playoff teams this year, and they're going to face off on October 11th, and it's going to be really, really fun to watch. And I think that's going to be a really good game to see, which team made the better moves this offseason. And lastly, Winnipeg at Nashville, same night, October 11th. It's just a rematch of the second round series last year. Division rivals. These teams do not like each other. Central Division, two competing teams at the top of the Central Division who are looking to win the division and looking to make deep playoff runs. I think that's going to be an absolutely awesome game to watch. And anytime those two teams play each other this season, it's going to be an absolutely awesome game. So I can't wait for that. So those are just some games from the first 2 weeks in the season that I am really, really excited about. And we're all going to be excited when hockey's finally back. And these great matchups make it even better. So these, I will try and watch as many as I possibly can. And I think they're going to be, really, really awesome. So, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. Check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links in the description below. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.